end position, somebody that you could throw the ball to in between the numbers, is somebody that can secure a quarterback a little bit better. Why not?
Let's leave it there and stay with the subject of familiar faces and new places, and potentially if Calais Campbell could be a difference maker. So he's another free agent that could help just about any defense in the league. NFL.com proposes that the Raiders would be a good fit, considering GM Reggie McKenzie still has plenty of work to do to address a major need on his interior defensive line and should go after Campbell. Max, we know you've had your eye on the Raiders. Would Campbell make Oakland the best team in the AFC?
You can't pick against the Patriots after what we just saw, but it would make Oakland the favorites to upset the Patriots. Insofar as the Patriots have a contender in the AFC, it would be the Oakland Raiders. Look, I thought last year everyone was a little premature. I thought it was, in sports they call it wish casting. You know, you hope that your prospects are the next this guy and that guy, but it turns out not all of them are. Or you see your team doing well and, oh, they can win the Super Bowl. Not quite. People got so high on the Raiders, they failed to see that the defense wasn't quite good enough, I thought. And yet, that was my thought through most of the season. But by the time Derek Carr got hurt, I thought, you know what? Maybe they are good enough. They're really, really good. I didn't see the Falcons as better than them. And the Falcons made it to the Super Bowl and should have won. But certainly you would think that they would make the defense better in this offseason, and this would be the year to jump on the Raiders bandwagon. If they got a guy like Campbell to go with a guy like Khalil Mack, and all of a sudden that pocket is collapsing and the quarterback's under pressure, everything turns around for, like, that is a tipping point type player, I believe, on a franchise, on a team like the Oakland Raiders. And you put Campbell on the Raiders, they might, it's the Patriots or them as the pick coming out of the AFC.
It's amazing to me how complicated you make stuff sometimes. It's unbelievable to me. I mean, obviously you go after Calais Campbell if you can get him, but let's talk about what this comes down to, Max Kellerman. Don't compromise taking care of the Mac Daddy himself, Khalil Mack. You could go out there and get whoever you want, but you better make sure you first take care of Khalil Mack. You better make sure that not a single thing that you do compromises your ability to sit up there and pay this man when it's due. And anybody that you add to that roster, I don't care who it is, outside of Aaron Rodgers being that bad man he is, and you don't need him because you got Derek Carr, or a Tom Brady, you don't need him because you got Derek Carr, and Derek Carr's on to come up. The point is, the number one priority for the Oakland Raiders should be making sure that you got enough dollars to take care of the Mac Daddy, Khalil Mack. Anything, and I do mean anything, that gets in the way of that, you done compromised yourself.
They already have Khalil Mack. Do you want him to have Campbell or not? They already have Khalil Mack. Do you want him to have Campbell or not?
They got, excuse me, I'm telling you, I've spoken to members of the Raiders. They know that it's due. Khalil Mack has to get paid. So anything that they do has to make sure they don't compromise their money in order to take care of Khalil Mack. Because if it's after this offseason coming up or whatever, they know they're going to have to take care of him soon. That's why I brought that up.
Campbell's on the Raiders. Do you like him to come? Campbell's on the Raiders. Do you like him to come out of the AFC? Yes or no?
No. Not yet. No.
Campbell no. He'd be a big help. I mean, he's I mean, not only the pass rushing, the run stopping, the ball disruption instead of pass lanes, big, strong, big, tall body with long arms. Of course, he'd help. But I agree. I mean, Khalil Mack needs to be paid. And in terms of the Oakland Raiders, I mean, it's just I would have loved to have seen a Raiders-Patriots playoff matchup with Derek Carr. I mean, because I thought that with Derek Carr and Crabtree, Cooper, the way they were playing offense, they could have really put points on the board against New England. But Carr goes down, of course. What I was most disappointed about the Raiders last year is how they just quit once their quarterback went down. It looked like they all knew it was inevitable. It was going to end at one point, and that's the way they played when your quarterback went down. So, listen, I understand that type of, let down, the sort of, the air out of your sails, when your quarterback goes down. But Khalil Mack with Calais Campbell, Mario Edwards Jr. also is a great player for that pass rush. Yes, that would make them, I think, the one that would challenge the New England Patriots. But with that Raider defense, what needs help also? The pass rush, they were last in the league in sacking the quarterback. Yes, but the defensive backs, the defensive backs have problems. And this it wasn't really ability, in my opinion.
But that'll help him, Teddy.
It almost was scheme. I mean, there were walk-in touchdowns from when I watched early in the year, the first half of the year, to after Thanksgiving. These were the same concepts that they were having problems with. In my opinion, well, sometimes it's players, sometimes it's coaching, that if you're getting caught with the same concepts, especially in the red zone over and over again,
right
there's a problem.
That's my question. That's where I was going, fellas, because we made news. We saw news out of the Oakland Raiders. Jack Del Rio, 4-year extension. Congratulations, blah, 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 bravo. Wait a minute. Teddy Bruschi just pointed out that secondary. He pointed out schemes, and he pointed out how the team quit. Now, I understand the 12-4 season is something to celebrate, especially if you're the Oakland Raiders, who've been in that for a decade, okay? We understand that. But the flip side to it is that one season got you a 4-year extension when the team quit after Derek Carr got injured, when their secondary has been an issue, and more importantly, the two biggest issues again, when they quit and when schematically they seemed very, very predictable. I had concerns about that 4-year extension, Teddy. Did that you say what?
You know they're not.
Yeah, I agree with you, Stephen A. I agree with you wholeheartedly because, also early in the season, you saw all the risks Del Rio took, and those risks paid off. I think they were playing the Saints and either going for it, going for two, whatever, winning games in the last 30 seconds or taking chances in gambling, almost trying to be a remake of Riverboat Ron, something like that. When those type of decisions don't pan out and you fail, all right, that's when maybe you don't get the 4-year contract. So you're living on the edge, all right? That's all I'm saying. And there needs to be more improvement. I didn't see the improvement over the course of the year. Same mistakes being made, a lot of penalties being had. I mean, yes, that is your head coach and the identity he wants of his team.
Guys, if Derek Carr, the whole shooting match is, does Derek Carr come back the way he was? If he does, and you add another, as Jerry Jones said, war daddy on defense, right? You add a guy like Campbell on the defense, that'll make the defensive backs that much better. I really think that that'll be the tipping point. And the Oakland Raiders, they add a guy like that on defense. It's the Patriots and the Raiders in the AFC this season.
And that's where I'll look at. You got everybody you want. You got the quarterback. Say you bring in another of those war daddies on defense. There's everything. So now, situationally is where I'll be watching this Oakland Raider team. How does the defense play the situations? Are they getting beat by the same type of schemes and plays that they have earlier in the year? Or within the same game, are the coaches making improvements? That's where you look to now. Because once you get all the players, now it's on the coaches. Now let's see what they do.
And Max, you brought up wish casting earlier. Maybe we'll get to see now that Patriots-Raiders game because we certainly got cheated from seeing Derek Carr this year. Thank you for your insight, Teddy. Good to see you as always. Coming up, Freddie Rose.
Obviously, you go after Calais Campbell if you can get him. But let's talk about what this comes down to, Max Kellerman. Don't compromise taking care of the Mac Daddy himself, Khalil Mack. You could go out there and get whoever you want, but you better make sure you first take care of Khalil Mack. You better make sure that not a single thing that you do compromises your ability to sit up there and pay this man when it's due. And anybody that you add to that roster, I don't care who it is outside of Aaron Rodgers being that bad man he is, and you don't need him because you got Derek Carr, or a Tom Brady, you don't need him because you got Derek Carr, and Derek Carr's on the come up. The point is, the number one priority for the Oakland Raiders should be making sure that you got enough dollars to take care of the Mac Daddy, Khalil Mack. Anything, and I do mean anything, that gets in the way of that, you done compromised yourself.
They already have Khalil Mack. Do you want him to have Campbell or not? They already have Khalil Mack. Do you want them to get Campbell or not?
They got, excuse me, I'm telling you, I've spoken to members of the Raiders. They know that it's due. Khalil Mack has to get paid. So anything that they do has to make sure they don't compromise their money in order to take care of Khalil Mack. Because if it's after this offseason coming up or whatever, they know they're going to have to take care of him soon.
I mean, look, he's fast and he's 6'3" and what, 230 or something like that. Yeah. And I know he doesn't play that big, but It's got to interest someone.
He is really dependent on his blocking, though. I think people are going to be surprised by his market. I think, for one, if Oakland lets him get away, that tells you one thing right there. He's averaged only 4 yards to carry each of the last 2 years. He's been productive. He's had nice seasons, 1,066 yards in 2015, 788 at the front of that trio of a rotation in Oakland. He's just a guy, Gary. I hate to say that, but I think people will be surprised. His market's not going to be – I would be surprised if it's strong. He doesn't do anything.
The other thing is,